What's going on, NBA Fanatics? This is your friendly neighborhood Memphis Grizzly homer, Memphis X, and I talk hoops. Well, today, the Grizzlies are going to play their first game in the second round in the playoffs since 2015. They will be facing the Golden State Warriors, 2:30 in Memphis, Tennessee. We're going to talk about it. But first, every hero needs their theme music.
Piano.
Grizz gang, go hard. Baddest in the game, we be on one. I talk hoops so secure. All up on the court, but we gon' score. Memphis bringing heat straight from Tennessee. Demarest back and let's go.
Okay, NBA Fanatics, please make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers before the new season starts in October, and I would like for you to be there with me. So subscribe to my channel, hit that bell for notifications so you can catch all my breakdowns of the Grizz Warriors series this week. So yes, the Grizzlies returned to the second round of the playoffs for the first time since 2015. That was against the Warriors also, ironically enough. That time the Warriors had home court advantage. That was the series of the infamous Mike Conley broke-face game, where Mike Conley cemented himself as a forever Grizz legend, playing with a broken face. And the ironies of ironies now is Joel Embiid has a broken face now, and he'll probably have to do the same against the Heat. But that's a story for another time. The Warriors, if you remember that game, the first game, the Grizzlies were coming off beating the Portland Trail Blazers, and Mike Conley had broken his face the game before. So we went into game one against the Blazers with Nick Calathis as our starting point guard in the second round of the playoffs. Yes, those were the days. And we promptly got blown out that first game. But the second game, Mike Conley, the soldier, who's going to have his jersey hanging in the rafters of FedEx Forum as soon as he retires, came out in the broke-face game at Golden State, and he played 27 minutes, had 22 points, was 8 of 12 from the field, 3 of 6 from three-point line, 3 assists. But it was just the inspiration of that game had the Grizzlies on fire. They beat the Warriors 97-90. They went home and beat the Warriors again 99-89. And I ain't gonna lie, I was charged up at that time, man. I just knew the Grizzlies were going to the finals. And then the Warriors figured out how to beat us. And I don't want to talk about it because the legend is they just figured out they didn't have to hold Tony Allen anymore. But what people don't talk about is that, Tony Allen was hurt. He hurt his hamstring, and Tony Allen couldn't move. So that was the problem. Because in that game 4, when the Grizzlies were up 2-1, Tony Allen was only able to play 15 minutes. And that's kind of was the writing on the wall. Tony Allen was the heart and soul of our defense. He was a very important player going against a team with two of the greatest shooters of all time in the history of basketball. So after that, the Grizzlies promptly lost 3 in a row, lost to the Warriors 4-2, and the Warriors went ahead to start their dynasty. And the Warriors players will even tell you now that was the biggest hurdle that they had to cross. It was a mental hurdle going against Zach Randolph, Marc Gasol, and the Grizzlies defense. It was a mental hurdle that they had to cross. And I'm going to tell you, that was a series that made me hate Steph Curry for years. I mean, I hated Steph Curry so bad for the things he did in the FedEx Forum in that game 4. Vile, nasty things that little man did to our team. Woo! He submitted himself to, in my head, as one of the scariest basketball players to ever face on the NBA court. The things that he could do so fast. I mean, he can go on his own 9-0 run in 30 seconds. And you can be down 1, thinking you're in the game, and the next thing you know, you're down 10. And Curry is pulling up from half court, 3 quarters. You know, he's just doing crazy stuff. But that was the game. And I'm going to tell you, it took until I knew that the Warriors with KD were breaking up, and I promised myself, as somebody who was a basketball fanatic, an NBA fanatic, that I was going to put aside that hate of Steph Curry, and I was going to enjoy that last season that they had with Kevin Durant. And I'm so glad I did, because I was able to really, really enjoy watching that great team play basketball. But that was then. This is now. Then the Warriors were the young up-and-coming team. Now the Grizzlies are the young up-and-coming team. Grizzlies are one of the youngest teams in NBA history to make it to the second round of the playoffs. The Warriors are at the tail end of their dynasty. They are trying to cement themselves up there with the Lakers, Showtime Lakers, the Larry Bird Celtics, Jordan's Bulls, Duncan's Spurs. Those are the teams that they are trying to join now. If they can get another one, like Tim Duncan did at the end of his career, another title, it would cement that threesome of Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green as one of the greatest threesomes to ever play NBA basketball. And you can hate on them for what you want about Kevin Durant joining their team. But who's going to turn down Kevin Durant if he wanted to join your team? Nobody. Every team wanted Kevin Durant, just like every team wanted LeBron James in 2010. So I don't hold that against them. I mean, you have to recognize the greatness of that organization. And the fact that they were able to go through 2 years of injuries and come back and be one of the favorites to go to the finals, the favorite to go to the finals from the West right now, with Devin Booker still having hamstring problems, is remarkable. It is something that every franchise aspires to. So there will be no hate of the Warriors before this series starts. Now, after this series gets started, I ain't going to make no promises about where my feelings are going to go with the Warriors. But I'll tell you right now, I have an appreciation for what it takes, because I know as a person who's been a fan of the NBA since Magic Johnson, I can tell you sustaining greatness is hard in the NBA. Winning 1 title is hard. Winning 2 is damn near impossible. Winning 3 is crazy. And to still be a contender all these years later is something that has to be appreciated. So that's all. That's my spiel on the Warriors. Now, let's talk about this series and this game 1 specifically. So let's talk about today. What's going to happen in game 1? Or what do I think is going to happen in game 1? Well, honestly, it's hard to say, because this season had a lot of injuries between both teams, COVID, all kinds of stuff. Heck, the Grizzlies are dealing with Steven Adams being in health and safety protocols right now. So it's hard to get an accurate prediction on exactly what's going to happen because most people don't even have a feel for, how the games are going to go, the matchups, how the coaches are going to match up, what they would switch up because the lineups were so in and out. I don't think Dillon Brooks played in any of the games. Klay Thompson missed half the games. Draymond Green missed another half. Steph Curry missed a game. Ja missed a game. Jaren missed a game. So you really can't go on anything that happened in the season. Now, how do I think it's going to happen? What do I think is going to happen? The matchups, I don't know. What I would like to see. Now, most people are saying that they want to see Ja Morant on Andrew Wiggins. I prefer him on Klay Thompson because although this sounds crazy, I want to encourage Klay Thompson to be the gunner. I don't want to get any of the other two started, and then by the other two I mean Steph Curry, of course, and Jordan Poole. Now, I assume that the Warriors are going to start with their small ball lineup of Steph Curry, Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, and Draymond Green. I hope the Grizzlies start with their best lineup of Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, Dillon Brooks, Brandon Clark, and Jaren Jackson. But I'll assume that Jenkins is going to be stubborn and still start Xavier Tillman. I think that would be a mistake. These are not the Timberwolves. You can't afford to get off to slow starts, bad starts, can't afford to fall behind by double figures because 10-point lead, 10-point deficits become 20-point deficits real quick when it's the Warriors. So you really need to start off on your best foot. Now, I would understand starting Kyle Anderson if you wanted to keep Brandon Clark coming off the bench, but we can't pretend that Xavier Tillman is one of our top 7 players in the rotation. He's not. The top 7 are those starting 5 that I said, Tyus and Kyle Anderson. I don't know if Steven Adams is going to have a place in this series either because Steven Adams was pretty much a negative in every game that they played. Now, I don't think you want to have Steven Adams subjected to what the Warriors did to Nikola Jokic. They had him running around like a chicken with his head cut off, and they were killing him. That's what happened in the first 3 games. It took a while for the Nuggets to get that under control. I don't think you will even want to introduce Adams into this series for that reason. Now, he's going to be out game 1, I do believe. Hadn't seen any update where he's going to play. So he's going to be out game 1. Now, other than that, I think you should start either Brandon Clark or Kyle Anderson. In the matchups, you should have Brandon Clark or Kyle Anderson on Draymond and Jaren on Wiggins. And let the perimeter guys go. You can have Bane on Poole and Brooks on Curry. And like I said, Ja on Klay Thompson. Now, the reason why I like it like this is because, like I said, I want to encourage Klay Thompson to shoot because Klay Thompson has had a tendency to be a gunner since he's been back, to shoot regardless. And I think Ja can, will have an easier time containing him off the dribble rather than dealing with the power and athleticism and physical size of Andrew Wiggins. I think you'll just encourage Klay, maybe take him in the post, and I think Ja can handle that a little bit better than somebody that will take him off the dribble. The only problem is Ja getting lost in screens if Klay is running around. But listen, you have to pick your poison. Like I said, you have to pick your poison. Ja's got to play. So, hey, there is no good matchup. There is no easy matchup for Ja in this game. That's the beauty of the Warriors. There's no easy matchup. Also, there's no easy matchup for the Warriors because somebody's got to guard Ja on the other end. Now, more than likely, they're going to put Andrew Wiggins on him. That's going to leave Klay probably trying to hold Dillon or Klay trying to hold Jaren. More than likely, Klay's going to have to hold Jaren if Wiggins is on Ja. That's going to leave either Poole or Curry trying to defend Dillon Brooks. And I like the chances of either whoever Poole is holding, that's who should be scoring. Denver was able to run Poole off the court, got him in foul trouble, made him unplayable because his defense is horrendous. You can't let him stay on the floor. You have to get him out of that small ball lineup and get them to either play Gary Payton or Looney. They have to play. You have to get them to play one of those two, if not both of them, 20-plus minutes a night. You got to break it up. You got to break up the small ball lineup. If you're letting them hit from deep like crazy, and I mean, if you saw the first two games they played against Denver, there was nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you're going to be able to do about that. If they're shooting like that, it's GG, go home. There's nothing you can do. But hopefully the Grizzlies can get them where, they're passing the ball a lot. We're getting steals. We're getting out in transition. And we're punishing them because we have the athleticism and size advantage in almost every position. And unless they're going to play Jonathan Kuminga a lot, we're going to have the decided athleticism advantage over all positions. Now, the key is going to be the intelligence of the Warriors and their defensive strategy. When Draymond is engaged, and he is right now, he has been. If you watched the Denver Nuggets series, you saw he had a little pep in his step. And when he has that pep in his step, that means his defense is going to be engaged. And if his defense is engaged, the Warriors are going to be a pretty good defensive team. Now, the issue when they play the small ball lineup is they have some holes in their defense. With Poole and Klay to an extent. I know people are going to say, Klay? What are you talking about? Klay is an all-defensive type guy. No. Klay was an all-defensive type guy. Klay is having some issues with defense right now. So, his instincts and his rep is solid. He's got solid size, of course. So, it can come and go. Maybe his defense is better this series, but so far it hasn't been. But either way, as long as they're starting Poole, they have somewhere you can attack. And if we know anything about defenses, as long as you have one place you can attack, the defense has some weakness. If you can find two places you can attack, the defense is in trouble. That's what happened to Memphis against the Timberwolves when they were playing Steven Adams. They were able to attack Adams and or Ja, and that gave our defense problems. We couldn't sit Ja, so Adams had to sit, and he was out of the rotation. The key here is to knock one of their offensive players out of the rotation, and if you can get rid of limit the minutes of Poole, because they're not going to limit the minutes of Klay and Curry, but if you can limit the minutes of Poole, you really slow down their offense. Because Draymond is a non-scorer, Wiggins is an iffy scorer, and either Gary Payton or Looney is not going to bring near the offensive punch that Poole does. So if you can slow down either Klay or Curry, or either one of them is having an off shooting night, then you have a chance to just beat them, outscore them. That's why their offense was middle of the pack in the NBA. Because Klay was coming off his injury early. Curry got hurt later. And Poole has been inconsistent during the year. So their offense has had no chance to be consistent. Now, people saw them against Denver and thought that they were going to be, the Kevin Durant Warriors redo, born again. But you got to remember the Denver Nuggets perimeter players. I mean, the Denver Nuggets don't have any perimeter players, and the Denver Nuggets don't have any perimeter players that can really tax the Warriors on the other end. So the Warriors were allowed to play freely and things like that. So my guess and how I really have a guess in how this game is going to go. I really predict that this game is not going to be close, and I don't know which way it's not going to be close in. I'm a little worried that the NBA put the screws to the Grizzlies with the scheduling, having to get game 40 hours after the last game, and the Grizzlies are going to have to play 3 games in 5 nights. So it's going to be a little rough on the Grizzlies, and I'm hoping that they don't run out of gas at the end of this game. But I think if they can match up and find a matchup with the Warriors, and they have matched up well with them in the last year. If they can match up well with them and limit Draymond's effectiveness, and especially if you can make them play big, if you can make them play loony. If you can make them play loony, I think the Grizzlies will have a better chance of winning this game and this series. But for today, I think Kerr is got what you have to know about Steve Kerr is he has a natural tendency as a coach to prefer defense. So his natural instinct is to play Looney and Gary Payton over Wiggins to get some size and over Poole to get some defense. So his natural tendency is going to be to want to play those guys. So if you can break through in the beginning by having their defense on its heels because they're playing Poole, then you can have Kerr resort to that natural tendency of wanting to play Looney for some size or Gary Payton to slow down one of the Grizz perimeter players. That is the issue with starting Xavier Tillman because it gives the exact effect to the Grizzlies. Tillman's offense is limited. Jaren Jackson's offense has been limited up until, the last game of this Wolves series. And Ja has been coming out slow through in the playoffs. So it puts a lot of pressure on Dillon and Desmond Bane to score. And that is how the Grizzlies get behind early in the games. So what is my prediction for this series? My prediction for this series is a 7-game toss-up. And since the Grizzlies have home court, I will favor the Grizzlies winning the series. I will go Grizzlies home court over the Warriors experience in Game 7. But that is subject to change after I see these matchups because we haven't seen either one of these teams healthy. So, I hope you guys enjoy this game. Please make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel, hit the bell for notifications so you can see my review that's going to be out right after the game. Now, I might try to go live during the game, but I'm not going to make any promises because it's going to take a lot of equipment stuff I'm going to have to deal with, and I don't know if I really want to deal with trying to go live the first time during a game that I really care about. So until after the game, this is your boy, Memphis X. Peace.